Hello, hello, hello. Hello, world. This is Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. And in this podcast, I'm going to talk to you about a young man that I've been telling you about in the last couple of previous podcasts that I did. His name is Jamal Trulove, and he was wrongfully convicted and framed and sentenced to 50 years in prison under Kamala Harris's Attorney General's administration in the state of California. And I can assure you that I know about the state of California because I lived there almost over 50 years actually, and still have residency in the state of California. So I can assure you that at the age I am, 73 years of age, I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot, and I can share with you from firsthand experience and knowledge of a lot in the state of California. So, again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please subscribe, leave your comments, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, because we're going to do some exploration and we're going to listen to Jamal Trulove tell his story about how he was wrongfully convicted and framed under Attorney General Kamala Harris administration when she was the Attorney General of the state of California. And believe me, you need to hear his story because it's compelling, quite compelling. So let's go ahead and I will interject from time to time because this potential president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris, has done a lot of talk over the years since she's been a public political figure. However, like I said, talk, because talk is cheap. You can talk all you want to, but if you don't do anything but give a bunch of rhetoric to the public and we don't get any results, why are we giving away our votes? Why, as Black people? We need to stop. We're already at the bottom of the economic barrel or spectrum. So we need to stop and think and stop giving away our votes. And as you notice, I'm spending quite a bit of time on political podcasts because this is serious business when it comes to our Black community. And we need to really pay attention to what these politicians are pandering to us with as Black people, because right now they seem to be just pandering to us, not the other ethnic groups. So we must be important to them now to win and get back in the White House or stay in the White House for Kamala and get back in there for Donald Trump. And I'm not pandering for either one. I am pandering for my people as this mad Black woman, and that is for motivated and determined to support and elevate our people to a higher level of consciousness so that we can elevate ourselves in all aspects of our lives. That being spiritually, intellectually, economically, physically, socially, emotionally, mentally, We need all of those in order to create power within our own community. And we have to look within ourselves and say, what am I doing to help to elevate my community? Am I killing my brother or my sister? Am I peddling drugs within my community? Am I helping and supporting my sisters and my brothers with helping to sharpen their tools? What am I doing as a Black person to help to create a better community for us? What am I doing to put the unity in community? COMMUNITY, that unity. We have to put that unity back into our community. So we have to ask ourselves, each one of us, what am I doing to support and elevate and build within our community? And that's something each one of us need to take the time out and reflect, because too many of us are killing up one another. And we all understand the root cause of it, which is slavery. However, that is why this election is so important for us to put demands upon these people. Whoever comes into office, we need to be asking for resources that's owed, that debt, reparations. Because we have some bad behaviors going on in our community with us listening to a lot of these entertainers, such as rappers, actors, actresses. These people have money, most of them that are out here in the limelight. Most of them have money. So they're not concerned with you. They're pandering to keep the money they have. And listening to all of this rap music that's destroying our community by advocating the drug usage, bashing our Black women. They don't bash any other ethnic group, just us, because they're producers, mostly Jewish people. That's what they are promoting. And I can attest to it. You can go back and listen to this Jewish man by the name of Leo Cohen, who stated on the Breakfast Club to Charlemagne, when he was asked a question about, and I'm paraphrasing, his feelings about what he's doing and what he's having these rappers to say about the drugs, the women, the killing one another. And he said he has mouths to feed. So he doesn't care. These people don't care about our community. Therefore, we have to care about our community. And when we have a criminal injustice system that doesn't work for us, when Black men are in prisons significantly longer than their white counterparts for the same crime. And you can go and do your due diligence and you will see that this is true. I'm speaking truth. So now let's listen to Jamal Trulove as he gives his story about how he was framed and imprisoned for a little over 6 years under the administration of Kamala Harris being the Attorney General in California. So let's take a listen to his story. And I will interject maybe once or twice during the 6 minutes. And here we go. Let's hear his story because it's very, very compelling.
In 2008, I was framed for murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris, sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct. And it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I looked back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. This shit ain't funny. Someone argued she's not at fault. She didn't argue the case. Well, it was her office. 2 times that Kamala Harris showed up to my trial was when I got convicted and also when they laid down the sentencing. She was the head of it. She overseen it. She had to. It was a murder case, right? And at the end of my paperwork, it's a stamp and seal, Office of Kamala Harris. And during my appeal process, I had to go up against her again. People that's fighting against my appeal to keep the conviction is the Attorney General office. At the end of the paperwork, again, stamp and seal, the Office of Kamala Harris. 4 years ago, when she was running for president, I did an interview with Vice. I was very diplomatic. I didn't blame her. I didn't even ask for an apology. All I said was, I'm not necessarily saying I'm looking for an apology, but some acknowledgement from her that she could have messed up would be, of course, that'd be huge. I didn't hear nothing back. I had a ton of support. A lot of people wanted to help me tell my story, especially in Hollywood. I was in production contracts, I was in talks with studios, and so forth. The pressure was on her, and she ended up dropping out of the race.
I'm suspending our campaign.
Until Joe Biden announced her as his VP candidate.
We did it, Joe. You're gonna be the next president of the United States.
After that, I started losing a lot of support. Executive producers detaching, contracts dissolving. The movement that I once had to ultimately tell my story vanished. So what you think I did? Get behind the candidate that is in front of us, and that's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You damn right. I told the world, I'm gonna put my differences aside with Kamala Harris, and I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden. I ain't gonna fuck up the bag. I never liked the Joe Biden because of the '94 crime bill. That got all of us locked up. And that shit that he said on the floor of the Senate.
I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, but they are in jail.
And obviously I don't like Kamala Harris. She locked up more black people than any DA in San Francisco history.
People in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
She did prosecute almost, I think, 1,900 marijuana cases. Those folks had permanent records.
And plus, she say shit like this.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people.
And this.
As California's top cop.
Now I stand before you as the top cop. Top cop. The top cop.
And this.
Put money into education, not prison. There's a fundamental problem with that approach, in my opinion.
And this.
No, I don't think America is a racist country.
So after I came out and I said I was going to put my differences aside and vote for Joe Biden, of course, here comes Charlemagne with this.
You know Jamal Trulove, which I thought was the most egregious case on her record, Jamal Trulove. He did a video last night saying that he's voting for her.
So I had to check him in the comments real quick because he was putting words in my mouth. Pause. And I knew what that would do. That would get me onto the Breakfast Club.
We got a special guest on the line this morning, Jamal Trulove. Welcome, brother.
But they didn't want me on there to tell my story because Angela Yee been trying to get me on there. They wanted me on there because I was vindicating Kamala Harris.
Senator Harris, she didn't try your case, and she wasn't named in your lawsuit.
I'm never, blamed definitively Kamala Harris.
No, you did say that you are still voting for for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
I said in the video, it's just me putting my differences aside.
But Senator Harris does have a black opinion.
So I played the part, but it's been eating at me ever since. After that, I stepped away from politics. I seen how it was going, and I focused strictly on developing my craft and filmmaking so one day I could tell my own story. And I think this may be the time. And if you're wondering if I'm gonna be voting for Kamala Harris, fuck no. Donald Trump, big Trump. I'm rocking with Trump. Donald 50 Cent Jackson Trump. I'm going with Donald Trump. Where my red hat at? I know this isn't a popular opinion, and I'm gonna get a lot of backlash. But at the end of the day, it's my story, and I want to tell it.
Okay, let's stop. And he told his story. He said it's his story, and he wanted to tell it, and he told it. And I have no problem with him telling his story because, like I said, I lived in California, and I have another story to tell you about from California that I spoke about, and that's the Cherie Peoples case, because Kamala Harris put forth a law, a truancy law, that basically impacted a lot of Black people, where this woman was locked up. She was handcuffed and taken to jail under that law. But we'll talk about that in the podcast when I decide to do that one. But I just want to make a few points, follow up on what Jamal Trulove said, because he spoke about, he voted for them. And I can appreciate and understand that when he said he voted for Kamala and Joe Biden, because oftentimes when we are younger, sometimes even when we're older, we don't really think about some things that may have happened to us. And sometimes we do put those things behind us and we attempt to move on with our lives. And that's what he was doing when he voted for them, based on what he's saying here in the video. And this other thing that I noticed in there when Kamala Harris was speaking, oh, we did it, Joe. We did it, Joe. That did not seem sincere and genuine to me. And it was as if you've done it, but what are you going to do with what you've done now? Because over the last almost 4 years, basically, you have not empowered or done anything except bring a lot of immigrants into the country. You've done that for sure. You've allowed them to come in because Kamala was supposed to be the quote unquote border keeper, but did she keep the border? No. And the politicians have given a lot of the money to the migrants, resources, whereas a lot of Black people are struggling in these cities where they have dumped them into the Black communities. So we really need to examine what we're demanding from these people. And this criminal injustice system is broken, severely broken. And from my living in California, I did not see anything where Kamala Harris, while she was Attorney General of California, did anything to empower Black people or improve the criminal injustice system. Because Black people have been locked up longer than anybody. And you can go and do your own due diligence research, and you will see that that is true throughout America. Black people, for the same crime, is locked up longer than anyone. And there are statistics that say, I was looking at this statistic from the United States Sentencing Commission, where it says black males continue to receive longer sentences for similar crimes than white males at 19.1% longer than white males. And that's ironic because black males, statistically speaking, it could be more because statistics can be skewed to fit any narrative. And black people are supposed to be 6 to 7% of the adult male population, the black males. And with that 6%, it has been forecast that about 35% of the prison population, that's saying a lot. So a lot of black men, now becoming more black women, are being locked up in these prisons and getting significantly longer sentences. And some of them are innocent. And some are petty crimes where white people just get a slap on the hand. And we all know that's true. Look at what Dylan Roof did. He went to the church and shot up all those people, and they took him to get a burger. I guarantee you, if that had been a black man that shot up a bunch of white people in a church, he would never have been taken to get a burger prior to going straight to jail. Well, he may have been killed before he even got to go and get a burger. So this is the type of environment in the country we're living in. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please subscribe, please share, please give it a thumbs up, give your likes, and give it some comments, because I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on what's happening here in America, which is so chaotic, and people are laughing at us all over the world because of what's going on here in America. And yes, Joe Biden did introduce that 1994 crime bill, and that, guess what that bill did? It locked up more black people, particularly black men. It's as if this country wants to exterminate black people, particularly our black men. Families are broken, and a lot of that had to do with the welfare system and how they treated black people. And I'm a living witness of it. Being a 73 years of age woman, I can tell you how they treated black people. They would come out to your house, go in your house. These were white people because most of them had the jobs, and you had no privacy. They would line your children up, ask them questions, go and look in your house, in your closet, to see if there was a male in there, because they wanted our families to be divided. But they weren't successful, because statistically speaking, black men and women still, there are more married black men to women and more black women married to black men, statistically speaking, in spite of what some might want you to believe. But this society, by design, wants to keep the black families divided. And that's something we need to be conscientious about, and not allow that narrative, or that by design manner in which we're treated. We have to stop and think and not allow it ourselves. We have to look internally, and stop looking externally. It's about a mindset change. So the other thing I want to briefly talk about is what she said, and I heard her say this: America is not a racist country. And that's a total lie. I can attest to that lie, being a 73 years of age black woman and gone through a lot of discrimination on jobs that I've held, housing. And you're going to tell me that America is not a racist country? And on this note, I'm going to call out Roland Martin for his hypocrisy, because I don't know whether you all saw him or heard him address when these people, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, when they were addressing the Republican against anybody else that was running on the Democratic side. And he called out Tim Scott, the senator from, I believe it's South Carolina. He called out Nikki Haley. And because they said America's not a racist country, but he never called out I've never seen him call out Kamala Harris. And all I see him doing is pandering for Kamala Harris. But she said the same thing. And my loyalty is to my people to help elevate and uplift us to a higher level of consciousness and to speak about policies and an agenda, the debt that's owed, reparations. What about the criminal injustice system? That needs to be fixed. The mental health system, in which multiple people are locked up in prisons that should not be there. Some of them did not even commit any serious crime. They should be getting better mental health care. And that's something that's dear to my heart because of my son, who was diagnosed with cancer at an early age, 14, who is 43, 42, 43 this year. And I know the mental health system in California is horrible. But did Kamala Harris do anything to help get a better mental health system rather than sending these people to prisons, overcrowded prisons? So that's something that, to my knowledge, she did nothing about. And there were people, my son was a victim of one of them because of lies and housing that for mentally ill people or emotionally disturbed people are in these homes, some of them, and they are not run properly. And then they throw these people in jail, some of in prison. My son was a victim of this. And if it wasn't for me speaking to his public defender, the case, he probably would have been in prison when there were two mentally ill people in a home that was state funded, and the person that was supposed to oversee these people was never there. So you got two mentally disturbed people, and my son became like this because of cancer at the age of 14. He was a very brilliant, bright young boy prior to him developing cancer at the age of 14. And they don't care about this. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General. She didn't do anything about these people that are locked up in jail or prison. Maybe if it wasn't for me speaking up on behalf of my son, in which the case was thrown out, and this was several years ago. However, there was a recent case where he could have gone to jail, and I had to go to the district attorney there in Los Angeles and speak on behalf of my son, because these people don't care, these politicians. So it's up to us to demand, because the injustice system is very broken. And Kamala Harris, I did not see her do anything to fix it. She did a good talk about it sometimes, but that's it. And I'm only speaking of Democrats because I see them as one snake with two heads, one blue head being the Democrats, the red head being the Republicans. So I don't have any loyalty to either party. My loyalty is to the Black community, because most Blacks will go out and vote blue. And what do we have? A cycle of nothing but the same result. And that's something why we did not demand. We didn't demand under President Obama, and we're not demanding under the Biden. Look what they're doing, sending all these illegal migrants over to the Black community. So we have to stop and think what we're doing. So for Roland Martin to call out Tim Scott and Nikki Haley and not call out Kamala Harris for saying America is not a racist country, because she said it. You heard her say it in the video, and I heard her say it live when she talked about it. So these politicians are corrupt. They're hypocrites. They are pandering now to the Black people to distract you, bringing these ratchet entertainers in front of us like that is supposed to move. Intelligent Black people will not be moved by this nonsense and this disgraceful, distasteful, disgraceful entertainers that you're bringing in and putting them in front of us. It's ridiculous, and we're not playing the game. Intelligent Black people are not playing this game. And whether some have money or not and they are playing the game, of course they will play the game, because they want to keep their jobs. They want to see if they can probably get some type of position within your administration, whoever wins. But intelligent Black people are asking for an agenda and some policies to empower, provide resources. You're giving all of our resources to foreign countries, Afghanistan, Ukraine, the illegal migrants. And here Black people are heirs of the debt that's owed, and you won't even mention the word reparations. But you've given reparations to others. You've given it to Jewish people who you said were in, they said they were impoverished. You gave them, under the Obama administration, about $12 million. You can go and do your research. World War II, when the Japanese were put into concentration camps, they sued the government. They had no fear. We are too fearful. And some of them were residents, not even citizens. And they sued and they won under President Reagan, who signed for them to get reparations. But some of these journalists, they act like they are afraid to say anything. They're fearful of everything. And we got to come out of that fear mentality and make demands. We are hiring these people. When you give them your vote, you are employing them to do something for you, quid pro quo, because you invested your vote in them. And that's what you have to start doing, demanding. Stop just giving away your vote. And I'm so happy that this young man came forward and he told his story. And I'm sick and tired of these politicians putting rappers and entertainment people in front of us as if we don't have the skill set or the critical thinking skills to think for ourselves. But you're going to throw some musician or some actor, some rapper that talks about peddling drugs, killing one another, bashing Black women. That's a lack of respect for us as Black people. So why would we give you our vote when you don't respect us? I'm not giving my vote to anybody. I didn't vote for Biden or Harris, Biden and Harris the last time, nor Trump. And until I hear where there's an agenda and some policies for us as Black people, I don't care what anybody says. As a 73 years of age Black woman who is mad, motivated, and determined to help and support our people to a higher level of consciousness, I don't care what anybody says. This is my decision to vote or not to vote. And if I don't hear an agenda for Black people, I don't hear anything about the debt, reparations, I'm not voting for either one of them. You can prance anybody that you want in front of us. The intelligent Black people will figure it all out, believe me. So we're putting you on notice, just like those young Black men did, that young Black man that spoke out in Chicago. We're putting you on notice that you need to stop disrespecting Black people and think that we're supposed to give you our vote, because we're not falling for it. Some of us will still fall for it, no matter how much you disrespect us. Like Joe Biden, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. Well, I didn't vote for you, and I am Black. And I won't vote for Kamala Harris until she stops all this laughing about everything. You saw her in the video. She thinks everything is funny. She's a joke. This is serious business. The president's position is a serious position because you hold all of these 300 and some million people. You're holding everything that we're supposed to stand for. It's in your hands as our president. So this is serious business. It's not a laughing matter. And when this woman is laughing about everything, how can I take her serious? I can't. And I'm speaking more about the Democrats because that's who we've been giving our votes to for decades. And look where Black people are right now, collectively. Collectively, we're at the bottom economically. And Democrats have been in office with both the Senate and the House multiple times, more times than Republicans. Go and do your research on that one too. And every time the House is imbalanced, the Democrats will say, well, I can't get anything through because of the Republicans. Then the Republicans will say, I can't get anything through because of the Democrats. However, Democrats have had both houses more times, the House and the Senate rather, both more times than the Republicans. So that's something for you to think about. But they each blame each other. That's why I say it's one snake with two heads. And unless we start demanding and letting them know we're not going to fall for these games they play on us every 2 or 4 years, we're no longer going to fall for that. So it's your business whether you vote or not, and it's your business who you vote for. However, keep in mind what has happened over the last decade after decade with both parties and the state of Black America at this time, where our money, our tax dollars are being given to illegal migrants, Ukraine, Afghanistan, anybody except Black people, where that debt is owed, which is reparations. So that's something to think about. And on the Breakfast Club, this is my last point. He did mention about the Breakfast Club. And I tell you, I've watched the Breakfast Club sometimes. And for the Gen Xers, the millennials, and the Zs that are standing for something with common sense, discernment, demands, I'm very proud of you. As a 73-year-old mad, motivated, and determined Black woman, I am so proud of you. But as to their Breakfast Club, I sometimes question their motives. Because I know when Candace Owens was on there after she got fired, and I did a podcast about her firing, after she got fired, they hardly asked her anything of substance. It was like she was running the Breakfast Club. And she even said at the end she didn't care anything about anybody but her family, and she's proven that. And I'm going to be doing a podcast about her because what she said about Sonia Massey, which was ridiculous. And she needs to be exposed every time she makes some of these ridiculous statements about Black people in our community. And she's already shown who she cares about. She has no loyalty or no care about her community. So with that said, I want to thank Jamal Trulove for sharing his story. Again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please, please subscribe, share, leave your likes, thumbs up, leave your comments. I'd like to hear from you. And again, thanks to all of my new subscribers. And thanks for the love and the support. And I will be coming with something new. Don't know what yet, what will be the next podcast, but stay tuned. Within a few days, I will be doing another one. And always remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose because your destiny is your command. So, with that said, thank you. And I will see you in the next video. Much love.